Hey yo, what's up everybody? It's JJ. Today we're coming back a video basically talking about my HDB like cost renovation and everything somewhat you need to know about getting a HDB in Singapore, and I believe this video is gonna be helpful for those who are basically HDB first timer or something like that. So this is my own personal experience, and of course whatever I went through, I'm just compiling it to make it to this video itself. And of course in this segment we're gonna talk about like do you need to like have a defect check, and of course like the centralized cooling experience with Tengah, and of course like the electrical provider and internet provider that I'm using. And of course this segment itself, the most important part, I would say that more people are looking to basically talk about how much does the reno cost, and how do you find like a good renovation slash interior designer. And after that I would say that the last segment that is going to be talking about like how much is the loan and everything. So I would say it's not a financial type of concept video, but of course it's more likely like how can you like play this HDB game of so. And of course this segment gonna talk about like this ABSD in the future, and of course some part about it is like an investing type of route for your HDB itself. So in this video we're gonna basically compile everything. And of course if you have not subscribed to the channel, I will appreciate you click on the subscribe button, turn on post notification, and smash the thumbs up. And without further ado, we are gonna basically dive into the video itself of the first segment, talking about how does the house look like before we jump into the other stuff. So for myself itself, I got an HDB BTO at Tengah itself. It's a 4-room flat. So this is the layout. It looks like this. It's around 95 square meter or square feet. I think it's square meters feet or SQM2, something like that. And after that, basically this is the layout of the house itself. You can see that the 5-room itself, if I'm not wrong, is just a little bit bigger, the living room space itself. But of course, went down to some of my friends' units or my neighbors' units itself, we saw that the 5-room was actually quite big. So I would say that overall the layout itself, it looks good and everything. But of course the toilet, the main bedroom, and of course the toilet itself, I would say is kind of bad in the layout, because Chinese saying the feng shui itself, you shouldn't like face the door of the toilet, and after that you shouldn't face near to the window. Like the bed placement itself is gonna be kind of cocked up, and of course you can't really utilize the space. Therefore we try to did some adjustment. And of course I'm a Chinese guy and not really a Christian, therefore we went for feng shui and everything. So I'm gonna explain it later on in the video. So how does the house actually look like itself? So I would say that this is the picture during the renovation itself. We can see that it was very spacious, my kids' room and everything is very spacious in the concept itself. This is the master bedroom. Yep, so this is the second room, the first room for the kids. And after that I would say that overall it's more likely the living room itself is quite spacious. Therefore you can see that on the top itself, this segment over here, following my mouse, this segment over here, we basically built a partition out to basically do my study room slash office itself. And after that you can see that we additional have two basically aircon in the living room. And after that we can see that this is the walkway of the house. So I would say I'm gonna just screen through. So this is the room of my master bedroom, basically able to put a display cabinet. And the aircon placement itself, we can't really choose it because it is under the centralized cooling system, so I'm going to explain to it later on. So the toilet itself, I would say that the new concept of the toilet is much more spacious in the new HDB housing itself. I don't know why, but this concept itself, comparing it with my in-laws and my parents' house itself, the toilet is quite big. And after that, yeah, basically the display cabinet, everything looks very nice. And over here, this is what we built in for the cabinet itself, the wardrobe, I would say, and of course the makeup table. So here, this is the featured wall that is going to be placed, and after that put a television there. I'm going to explain to you that one of the biggest regret I've done in the renovation itself later on. And this is the study area, which I basically put on my display and everything for this room itself. So you can see that the living room itself has been partitioned into half to basically build a study room out. So I'm going to flash through the video. I mean the picture itself, the kitchen looked like this during renovation. So this is what is basically a completed work of what we are staying in right now. So this over here, you can see that this is our living area, and after that there's the kitchen door, and after that my son is looking at us. Yep, over here. And after that you can see that the table itself is quite cool. We do not really have like a dining table. Of course we have a small table over here which is foldable from IKEA. So if let's say friends comes over, we can just expand the table to utilize the space. And after that, if let's say we are not using it, we are gonna just sit on this table to basically eat our dinner on the floor or whatsoever, like a Japanese kind of style, sitting on the floor. And after that, this is the walkway itself, I mean living room. Yep, the display cabinet and everything. So it's kind of clustered, I would say, yes, because of the the house itself is small, and after that we thought that we do not have much thing, but eventually we basically bought and bought, and after that somehow there's a lot of things that we bought, and after that we do not know where to place it. Yeah, that's basically it. And after that there's a sunroom, and I would say that on the sunroom itself we did not do much reno. Basically the most part of the renovation is on the living room, kitchen, and after that the master bedroom, and of course, yeah, living room. So here this is the toilet. Toilet itself, the ID did a very nice concept for us. Basically the door itself, normally you will see like it is an open kind of door, it will take up a lot of space. Instead, he suggested us to do like a sliding kind of like V-shaped kind of door, therefore it's gonna basically utilize the space. So I would say the ID itself is doing basically suggested us to do things more on like a practical side instead of a fancier side. So here is the room, my study room, very cluttered, and after that I would say that yeah, basically is how the house look like itself. And of course I'm gonna jump in the segment like how did we like buy our things, like let's say all this small item that you see around the bed frame, the bed, and after that basically the sofa itself. The sofa is very solid, and after that some of the utensils and stuff like this, I'm gonna explain to you where did we buy it. So for the sofa itself, I would say definitely I bought it in Malaysia, and of course I would say that most of the things we bought is basically in the land of Malaysia, which is slightly cheaper over there. And I would say that utensils I bought it over there, towel, and after the bed sheet, and of course the mattress that we see on my son's room itself. This mattress over here for the kids itself, not say the mattress, but the what is that? Bed frame. Yeah, the bed frame itself was bought in Malaysia at my rumah itself, so I'm going to explain to you later on item. And of course during the trip to Malaysia itself, we also bought like this ceiling fan. I would say ceiling fan is very cheap over there, and after that there's a lot of things I'm going to share with you later on the segment part. I even done a breakdown of how much everything costs, so you're going to basically have a sneak peek about that. And after that I would say that during in your trip in Malaysia itself, you also can basically check out something that you've done there. Basically your nails, you can be done over there, but I would say that the nails being done over there is slightly expensive. And of course going to bring you to today's sponsor itself, TheFlashNails. So this TheFlashNails itself, if let's say you look at Malaysia itself, Malaysia has do like services of nails and stuff like this, but TheFlashNails itself, I would say that the price of this outlet slash home base itself, which is basically my wife's one. So this video is not really sponsored by her, but of course it's like a self kind of sponsored to basically promote what is that, her business. The TheFlashNails itself based in Tengah slash Bukit Batok. And after that I would say that the prices that you see over here, I would guarantee, confirm plus chop, say that it is cheaper in the KSL. KSL itself, many Singaporean go, and after they say it's goddamn cheap, but I would say that my wife doing this service itself is also goddamn cheap. And of course I told her that you shouldn't like charge to a cheap here and there. And of course we got into some argument that she want to do it basically do it affordability and after stuff like this. So I would say that if you want to surprise your wife or whatsoever, you can ask her to come over here to do a booking for her. And after that I would say that the price itself definitely will not break your wallet. Therefore I would say it's quite solid work that she's done, and of course it's for you to basically check it out yourself. So we're going to talk about the next segment about defect checks. So for defect check itself, some of you guys might be thinking like, is it really needed or worth it itself to do a defect check? But I would say that definitely, if let's say you do not have, I mean, you can do it yourself, but of course you need to have like reliable friends, and of course people who are like, I don't know, third sergeant and onwards to basically do an inspection for you, because they are more anal and stuff like this. So over here I would say that the defect company I went for was Defect Uncle. Yeah, and after that I would say that the work that they done is solid, because they bring like 3 people in the house, and after that started tapping on the floor and did everything that I didn't know that it is possible to find out like those small minor defect. But I would say the majority of the defect that they found was basically very tiny in it. Basically like the walls having like a little bit of scratches, what is that, the plaster coming out of the wall, and after that like some, I would say that my house itself, when they check it, there's not much defect, but of course definitely there's gonna be some defect here and there. And I would say that those minor defect itself will be basically painted over, or say like the railing itself, maybe say the railing, the handle is broken or something like that. Basically they will help you write it down. And I would say that the defect itself is definitely a must. If let's say, I would say, if you are going to stay at this house for a very long term, at the start itself, you better get everything checked out. And of course, for the tip itself, before you can start your renovation itself, it's the best to arrange the defect checkers to basically do a round of defect check before you start your renovation. Because if let's say you started your renovation and after that you ask the defect people to come afterwards, the building service center itself of your management during the BTO itself, the period of key collection, they will not entertain some stuff that I have. Basically, I would say my toilet itself, the tile was slightly uneven. Therefore, when every time we shower, there's gonna be puddling of water. But we did not really did a defect check on that, and of course, I would say there's partly of my ID side of segment kind of issue, and after that, we are still negotiating how to basically resolve it. And I would say that for that itself is basically once it's already done the tiling, and after that, I would say that the small type of like what is this? Let me show you the picture to understand. So this tile over here is basically an additional type of thing. So on my master bedroom, we've done like this over here, and after that, when I asked the defect, the BSC people to come and check, they say that we can't really do it. I think it is your ID's fault because they did not check before they install it. Therefore, they say that once it's already installed, it is not their pasar, not their problem. Therefore, they say that they will push it to the ID side. So the ID side itself will basically settle for me because, yeah, the water puddling and everything is kind of annoying. So over here, we're going to talk about the next segment. It is more concerning for those who have taken your Tenga unit and you have like signed up for the centralized cooling system. So for those who have already watched the video starting, I say that I have signed up for the centralized cooling itself. Why? Because number one is telling me that it can be like 30% energy efficient. So during the advertising itself, at the starting phase, when they came out with this whole Tenga project, they are pushing for centralized cooling, which I'm an advocate for basically like save my earth, that kind of people. Do not use more plastic or whatsoever, try to save electricity here and there because the electricity is goddamn expensive in Singapore. Therefore, I would say that yeah, I'm advocate for this kind of stuff. Basically new technology itself excites me, and after that, I would say that definitely the technology space is always improving. And of course, aircon itself, I would say that this over here, I would say that centralized cooling itself, one thing it is good, I would say yes, it does really save electricity in some terms. I would say roughly not really 30% efficiently, maybe from the range of 12 to 18%, but this is a video for another time, basically talking about much more in-depth itself. So over here for this whole aircon itself, I'm going to tell you how much I spent later on. But of course, if you use a traditional kind of aircon, you need to buy the condenser, and the condenser itself has to be basically on par with how many units you have, and of course the BTU and stuff like that. So I would say that you have much more flexibility of choosing like the aircon's power on your living room, because living room itself, we know that you need roughly like 18 to 24k BTU or 28,000 to basically quickly cool the room itself. But unfortunately for the centralized cooling itself, you only have the option of 9,000 BTU, which is it's going to take a super long time to cool your living room if let's say you have opt-in 1 for your living room itself. But of course, I would say that definitely it still can cool your living room. Doesn't mean that it is slow or whatsoever. It will just take a longer time to cool the whole living room area because of the size itself. But of course, 9,000 itself is good enough for your two small little room. And after that, I would say for the master bedroom, is it cooling? Yes, it will take some time to cool, but of course with the help of the ceiling fan, it's definitely gonna help to cool, to basically spread the cold air all around in the room. And after that, I would say that did I see waterfall all around this place? I would say that I was lucky enough that the trunking and all the system was done done by a company that is one of their contractor, which is far more like reputable. Therefore, I did not see like waterfall coming down. And I would say that honestly that on the social media side, we have seen like a lot of centralized cooling, like nightmares of people returning to their home and after that seeing like waterfall coming down of their ceiling, and after that damaging the floor itself. I believe if let's say it's damaged your floor or whatsoever, it's somehow able to be claimable. I believe so. If not, just take it to the MP. And after that, I would say that this project itself is one of the quite a failure project, I would say, because of the reviews, and after that the people are complaining here and there. But I was lucky enough not to meet with these kind of issues. But I would say for the airflow and everything, for the cooling, I would say it's quite good. And electricity wise, yes, you definitely save some compared to the traditional type of aircon system. So I would say if let's say you already opt in for the aircon itself, I would say once you already paid or you do not want to pay for another cancellation fee of 50%, it is fine to use it. Honestly, it's really fine to use it, because this aircon itself, the most you can just use it to your MOP. Either way, you want to sell it after MOP or continue staying in there, just might as well just utilize the the money you already paid for that maybe say 2 or 3 years, then considering switching off if let's say you do not like the system. So this is my thought on this itself, because I saw a lot of bad review, and after me and my wife was deciding that, hey, should we just cancel off the aircon units? But of course, when we look at it, the aircon unit, if the purchase price was around 4,000 plus, if we cancel, you have to pay around like 50%, which I say that if I'm gonna pay another 2k off this, and after that plus another system 5 kind of aircon, it is gonna cost me like total $10,000 just for aircons. And we just think about it, that why not just try the system, and after that eventually we just stay with it, and of course we use the system. So I would say overall itself, it is okay. There is not much issues, and of course the main part is to save money itself, of course. And after that, from there, I'm gonna basically jump to the next segment, which is the more important part about talking about how do you find your ID, and after that, what are the things you basically need to look out for. So over here, number one tip itself to finding an ID itself is never use your friend, honestly, because I have quite a lot of friends using in the ID industry, and after that a lot of people that came to me like, hey, you are gonna take your new house, right? Now you come to me, I will help you settle your ID work. Then after that, me and my wife consider about that, hey, why not we go to Atan's one, Alim's one, or whoever wants to basically try their services. But after that, we dive deeper down itself, and we realize that if let's say you ask your friend to do this renovation work for you, if let's say this feature was somehow didn't work out as expected, somehow there's a little crack here, and after that, from there, you are a person that, oh, I pay for my money, and after that I believe that I should get the quality of work. And after that, if let's say you use your friend itself, and your friend might be like, hey, it's fine bro lah, it's fine lah, just a little crack only, 我帮你补回去就好了 Some will even say, hey, just a little crack, just 算了啦，我们 brother 对吗 This kind of thing come out already, I tell you, you will basically be headache. And after that, from there, you're like, hey, Jibai, this friend, is it my sorry, is this my friend or not? Something like that. You will start to question your friendship. And after that, from there, if let's say you want to keep the friendship, I would say just go over to Canvas or some other platform that is out there to find an ID that is somehow reliable. And of course, you have to judge from their works itself. And I'm going to explain to you how can you roughly gauge on your renovation fee/cost itself, which is a reasonable type of amount that I feel. And after that, from there, I made my ID over here. Zheng Kun itself, I would say he's very solid and reputable. Because of the some ID itself, they will tell you that oh sorry about that. Some of them will tell you that, okay, for this itself, you should do solid, nice, and after everything. But eventually, you'll see that it's not practical. Everything you buy, do in a house itself, I would say you have to do it practically, and after that conveniently, and of course it will not disrupt much of your daily maintenance itself. I would say some people I've seen they did the curving wall or whatsoever. It looks, when you look at it, it's wow, super atas, super nice. But then eventually, when it's really coming down to say maintenance wise, you will feel that, hey, why this wall is so curved? How can I why can I open it, and then after that, from there, it's gonna hit something and stuff like this. So you have to do everything in the ID way. I would say that whatever you're gonna design, or whatever the ID is gonna design for you, make sure that it is practical. It will not be disruptive of anything, and after that, it's easy to maintain, and after that, doesn't. Yes, of course, must try to make it look nice and stuff like that. So I would say that this is one of the reasons that I choose my ID, because much more reasonable. So we're gonna talk about the electrical provider itself. So for normally electricity provider itself, this is for those who want to basically save money itself. I mean, as a young couple, I understand I'm also a young couple, and after I would say that the main goals itself, we always live day to day itself, is basically electricity. It has to be slightly cheaper than the average. If you use the SP group itself, it is a standard rate of 31 cents or something like that. And after that, my own personal choice was PacificLight. After doing research, tons of research on electrical provider and stuff like this, I'm also going to make another video about this electrical provider thing itself. So for my case, I choose the PacificLight because I run quite a number of servers at home / mini computer. Therefore, the stack it up itself will be much more utilized / cheaper or for my end itself, because I would say that I'm quite a heavy energy electricity user itself. But something funny about Singapore itself is basically all the provider out there, they will tell you that they do have the option to go green. So to be honest, going green itself, they will tap onto the solar panel or what kind of green energy that they can use to basically help you save the earth. But unfortunately, in Singapore itself, I see that the option to save the earth itself is slightly more expensive than burning charcoal. Therefore, I say that I just choose the normal option, whatever it is that is cheapest itself, because I try going green, trying to go environmental friendly and stuff like this. But honestly it sucks because when I look at the rates of going green itself, is more expensive than the traditional way of generating fuel, electricity. Therefore, it's a downside. So I hope that the whole nation itself, whoever is high up there, can basically do something about it. It's like we want to stay fit, but then fast food is more cheaper than vegetable. Yeah, that kind of concept. So it is really in a dilemma that what should you choose. But of course, just choose whatever itself is going to save, which is going to save your pocket, definitely. And after that, I would say that internet provider itself, I use MyRepublic because of the static IP address that they can give me. And after that, from there, I would say it's much more on like personal preference kind of use case. And of course, MyRepublic itself and PacificLight, both I have my link down below because this video is technically self-sponsored, not getting paid on. And of course, YouTube is not really running ads on this video itself because I've been away from YouTube for very long. Therefore, they basically kicked me out of the program and I have to rebuild again. Therefore, this is my first video talking about this kind of concept. And of course, in the future, I'm going to do more of this kind of thing. So we're going to jump into the financial segment. I'm going to show you the spreadsheet, all the numbers that everybody is so excited waiting for. Alright, so for the financial segment itself, a sneak peek of this. So this is basically all of the things that I have compiled throughout the whole housing miscellaneous, whatever small fee that I can think of / remember to record down. So this over here, you can see that the first down payment, stuff like this, my renovation, how much it costs and everything. So this is the financial segment. So we're going to jump into the first question that people always ask. Hey, how much your renovation costs? Okay, so for renovation itself, you can see that there's a few numbers here and there. And after that, I'm going to go to the right side of my segment. So over here, this is the segment that I've done, basically a categorized one. So over here you see renovation works itself is around 31,000 plus the electricity work is around 35k. So this is for renovation to basically set the foundation of the whole house and everything. So renovation itself, I would say is fairly decent because my house is around 340 over thousand or 330,000, can't really remember it. So it's basically, I would say that how do you like judge on like how much should you spend on renovation? For me itself, my ID told me that this formula itself works the best because it's like renovation cost itself, if let's say you want to look on an average kind of renovation, it should basically cost around 10% of the whole unit. So I look at it and after I see the reasoning, I feel like it is somehow true. And of course, renovation in Singapore itself can't really get cheaper than like 30 or 20,000. If let's say you want it to be cheaper, it's basically the bare minimum work. Basically only the kitchen is done. So for my case itself, is basically what I have done is basically the kitchen, living room, master bedroom, yeah, and the toilets. So basically these are the areas that have been done on renovation. And of course, I believe some people out there, they will do like much more like their kids room like renovation, doing like the built-in kind of bed and everything. So I would say that it is all of your own personal preference. And of course, if let's say you're willing to spend it, definitely you can basically afford it. And of course, I would say that do note that which kind of ID you go for, because I went to Quanvas and after that Quanvas itself, they referred me to like maybe say my wife contacted like almost 3 ID. The first one we went down just by doing the kitchen itself, I was quoted around 25,000. So it's only the kitchen only 25,000. And the second ID was just like bochap, you know, like do not need that kind of business, therefore we didn't choose them. So you have to know how to read a person to find a good ID itself. I would say I was lucky to find an ID that didn't like try to take advantage of us. And of course you can say that hey, friends also won't take advantage of, but I would say that the people that will always hurt you is your family and your friends. So that's the cold hard fact itself. So I would say that over here, finding an ID itself will basically do whatever option it is to basically go onto all of the platform that is out there to basically do some insurance kind of securement for you. It will be good itself to have a security deposit and stuff like this. For my case, we use Convest, and of course not a sponsor whatsoever, but of course I would say that go outside, go and see all of the platform and try to contact as many ID as you can. And after that, go down, spend the time of maybe say 30 minutes or an hour to talk to them. And after that, from there, tell them your needs. Then you see how they respond to you. You have to basically know how to read a person. Therefore, you can, but I'm not good at it, but my wife is super good at it. Therefore, we were lucky. So I would say that over here, you should basically try to do something about it. And after that, for the renovation cost itself, why did I separated this electric work and renovation itself? Basically it is somehow the same thing, but I just want to basically know how much is the electrical work in Singapore. Therefore it's around 3,500 to do the rewiring of like placement, because I put in some CCTV in the house. Therefore there is like additional like 5-6 extension point on top of the ceiling. Therefore, it is additional work, and after that, additional cost. One point is around $100 each. And after that, I would say that the renovation itself overall, it's quite happy with the work and everything. Except for the toilet, of course, the toilet itself is in the midst of disputing. And after that, I would say that roughly itself is like this, and I would say that the other stuff itself, we can talk about it over here. So this part itself is for those who are much more interested in, like say my sofa. How much was it? Basically 1.5 thousand. I bought it in Malaysia, so around 4.9k ringgit. And after that, from there, the kids sofa, the small sofa that I have, if you've seen it over here. Yep, these two sofa itself for the kids itself to sit down, and of course, honestly, adult butt cannot fit into this, though. This is like an extra kind of thing. You can avoid it if you want to. And after that, I would say just own personal preference, and I find it cute for them to sit down. And after that, over here, we can see that the other mattress itself, we bought it in Singapore using Shopee. And after that, the coffee table is Malaysia in MyRepublic. And after that, I would say the utensils itself, we went to, if I'm not wrong, it was at, what is that? The Tebaru area itself, near the IKEA Tebaru. And after that, we bought it at the basement one, kind of like kitchenware kind of stuff, and it cost like this amount, basically all new silverware. And after that, I would say that the TV set itself was one of the biggest regret, because the TV set itself, when I bought it, I was like, wow, sound bass, everything, sound bar here and there. But then actually, as a father of two, with they are just only like 4 years old or 11 months, you can't really utilize it, because at night itself, everybody is sleeping. Even though how good your sound system is, you still cannot pong pong pong, you know. Therefore, this is one of the regret. I bought an expensive set, which my wife told me that, hey, you might more, like you buy it so expensive for what? Because we won't be really utilizing it, because the kids will be sleeping here and there. So I was like a nerdy guy, and I like the sound system, so I just say, yeah, never mind, I just buy it first. Next time we'll use one. So eventually I bought like a very nice big Sony TV. I think, I can't remember, I think it's 50 or 60 inch kind of TV, and after that the sound bar and everything. So I would say that this cost itself is quite expensive, but honestly, if let's say you want to save on cost itself, I would say just go and buy the cheaper television like Prism. And I would say that if let's say you want quality itself, you want like those nice display, Sony is the one that for you, because Sony itself, they do like very good / nice kind of photo / graphical technology. Therefore, Sony itself will be better than like Samsung or Panasonic and stuff like that. It's just my own understanding on the industry / brand awareness kind of thing. And of course, Prism is just the OEM kind of thing. They have a factory in China, they just make everything from China, then they just paste the Prism sticker on it, if I'm not wrong. Or maybe they have upgraded the system, some stuff like this. So over here, I would say the next segment we're going to talk about is the loan. So the loan itself, we're going to jump later on. So I'm going to explain to you the aircon itself. For my case, I did the System 5 centralized cooling, because on my end, previously we opt on for only System 4. So over here, the System 4 centralized cooling system was around 3,600, not 4,000. Sorry for my information that just now it was, I mentioned 4,000, but it's only 3,000 plus, because we sign up somehow like the very early bird, when I think around 201, I can't remember, 2021 or 2020, we go down to do the option fee and everything. And after that, from there, we saw the booth down there, centralized cooling, you can save up to 30%, or just go. And after that, from there, it was quite cheap. And we look at the System 4, like, hey, System 4 3,000 only, hey, why not, yeah? And we just buy. Then after that, from there, we look at the room itself, because you see that my room itself was partitioned into half. So over here, you can see that this is partitioned into half. Therefore, we needed another aircon inside this room itself. If not, I will like go sauna here and die, you know, over here. So this is the additional system that we place in. The additional one is over here on the living room walkway. This is the additional system which they did, because the trunking itself is quite thick. Honestly, if you look at it, this is the trunking. The trunking system of this this centralized cooling is super thick. And after that, I would say that we cover up. Basically, over here on the walkway, we managed to cover it up. So I would say the cost for this aircon itself for System 5 aircon unit itself is around, what is it over here? What is it over here, around 5,300, which I would say that it is okay, reasonable for System 5, kind of basically averaging 1k per aircon or something like that. And after that, over here we can see that the next one, water dispenser, of course we bought a good one, because the water quality that you're gonna drink day to day itself really matters a lot. serious about that. And after that, for sleeping itself, mattress, we went for Sealy, and of course, yeah, it's a top end mattress, because I believe two things: your day-to-day living have to really have good quality about that. And after that, from there we can scroll down, talking about like nothing really much. So cooking wares and everything, the oven, bought it from Lucky. We went down to Courts, and after that saw like a display set, so we bought it. Basically the oven is bao ka liao one, you can do a microwaving oven, and after that it somehow like looks like a built-in kind of oven. Yep. And for curtain itself, we went to Malaysia to basically, not say we went to Malaysia, but instead we asked a guy that we know of to come over to Singapore to basically help us measure everything, and the whole curtain cost is around 753, which I would say the curtains being done is basically on my study area room, and after that, two kids room and one master bedroom. So these are the around roughly like what's the item that costs like 700 over dollars. For this itself, I would say for the living room is a day curtain, and after that for the kids room itself, we placed two night curtains, only night curtains. And for the master bedroom itself, we also only just placed the night curtains. Yeah, that's all. So for around 700 bucks, I would say, yeah, quite good value, I would say. So the next part itself is, what is it like taking a loan from HDB? So this segment itself is much more onto like the future of your housing itself. So if you want to really know about this segment, stay tuned. So over here, I would say that why is it like concerning your future itself? For this is basically, you have to know that the system about Singapore HDB itself is you have the option to pay with CPF. And of course, for this itself, you have to take note. If let's say you use your monthly option, monthly mortgage itself to pay via CPF itself, yes, it's doable. And after that, from there, your upfront itself is lesser in terms of cash. You do not need to fork out so much cash, and after that you can basically live your life better itself with much more cash and of course purchasing power, I would say. So for this case itself, why did I opt in to basically pay full on cash, no CPF or whatsoever? Is number one, I'm a self-employed, and then my CPF has already been drained to basically do the down payment and everything. So I would say down payment itself, yes, I use the CPF, not a lot, but around 10 to 20,000 only for my CPF, because I didn't really work that much. Once I finished my national service, have been doing like more on like a self-employed kind of thing, opening up business and here and there, and fail many business here and there. So I would say that this option itself is basically, you have to understand this concept. If you pay more in cash itself, when you sell your house in the future, you will receive more in cash. Therefore, you have much more buying power. You can basically throw your money all around wherever you deem necessary for your investments. So I would say that for this case itself, is really depending on your own personal financial goals, and after that your belief in the system. So for me itself, for CPF, I would say that yes, it's a good system for you to retire here and there, but honestly, looking at the chart of them increasing the CPF age, and after that from understanding deep down what is CPF itself, you will see that yes, CPF is definitely good for the citizens. If let's say you want to retire itself, yes, you can rely, like I would say, it's like a last resort of your retirement itself. You shouldn't really rely on CPF for your full retirement, but instead it is like the last case scenario, that if let's say everything doesn't work out and you are already at age 60 and you need to retire, CPF is the place that you can fall back to, and after that from there have somewhat like a decent kind of saving. So I would say, other than that, for your own retirement, you really need to have plannings on your own to basically build your own sum itself, instead of really relying fully on CPF. Because if let's say they just want to say that, oh, today's interest rate is 1%, that is 1%. They say, oh, today the retirement age, we see everybody is living up to 90 or even say 120 years old. Now the retirement age is 100, and you're fucked. You can't even live to 100. Sometimes you question your life about that. So I would say these are the things that you need to consider on. I'm not here brainwashing you saying that CPF is not good or whatsoever. It is your own preference and understanding, definitely. So I would say for my case, I use more on like cash itself, because I want to take back cash in the future, so I can do like other stuff, relocating, or maybe say staying here, and after that upgrading or whatsoever. Cash is king, I would say, to basically talk about in the traditional world itself. But to me, Bitcoin is always king. So over here we can see that for the loan itself, I have done like a 25-year loan, which is the middle one. So over here I was at the start, I did some spreadsheet over here. This is the suggested by HDB. Basically, HDB suggested me to take the 20-year loan, and after that, from there, the maximum loan that you can take from HDB is 25 years, and after that, the upfront is over here. So like how much upfront I need to do, in terms of like the ESG grant and everything. So over here I would say with taking with HDB itself is quite good because their interest rate is somehow low. It is basically on par with CPF's interest rate. So if CPF interest rate is say maybe say 3.2%, maybe your HDB interest rate will be around 3% or maybe 2.9%. So this is how we roughly work on the terms of interest rate on CPF itself. I mean from the HDB loan. So HDB loan itself, the loan I took was around 25 years, and after that the interest rate per annum is basically 2.6%. I would say it's quite fairly good itself because when I bought this place and after that took the loan itself, the Federal Reserve in the United States has been increasing the interest rate, and of course from there Singapore itself we have to follow suit itself, following their interest rate here and there. And so this is basically the monthly mortgage payment itself. I'm paying around 849. So I believe it is around here. This max loan itself, I took the highest possible loan because looking at it, why not? I mean, the monthly itself is fairly decent for 849. So I would say that this itself, you have to really account into a lot of things financially, talking about the monthly payment, and after that from there the house value itself, the loan that you take and everything. And of course, lucky enough we are Singaporean, therefore there is this HDB like EHG grant here and there, the grants depending on your household income, both of you guys, how much you work, and after that from there it's going to be subsidized slash away from basically the total amount in the upfront, and of course the loan value itself. So I would say eventually everything it is quite affordable because my area itself is also at Tengah. So if let's say you are an ambitious one trying to stay in the prime estate, don't know why, and after that you want to stay in the middle of Singapore because it is near to everything, and you are willing to pay a premium of like 600k for a new BTO, 700k for a new BTO, then go ahead. I mean, it's your money, it's whatever decision that you want, just go ahead and do it. And of course, don't regret at the end of the day. What I would like to say. So the mistake that you should avoid. So I would say this mistake itself is really a very big mistake that I've done, and I would say that this over here, if let's say it can benefit you, I would say definitely listen to this, and of course go and consult slash find your real estate friends agent itself that is reliable and reputable, would tell you this information that if let's say you want to buy a HDB. So when you want to make your move to buy a HDB itself, you really need to go and consult about this, because back then when we registered for this house itself, it was like 5 years ago, didn't really know much about these HDB things. I only know about Bitcoin, and after that only know about some stock, so I didn't really dig much into it. I just know that, oh okay, I can buy HDB, or now we married, we go and buy, faster apply, because you need to wait. So this is the scarcity of it, because Singapore itself, buying a BTO, you need to wait like 5 years, 6 years, or even 10 years. I do not know, around there. So that's the waiting period, maybe say 3 to 10 years depending on where you buy it, and of course unforeseen circumstances here and there, the global events. So this over here, I would say that number one that I want to talk about is basically the ABSD in Singapore. If let's say you are one looking to this segment itself, I would say it's more on like, oh, you want to do kind of like your own property investment in Singapore itself. So for the ABSD itself, definitely we know that this tax itself is a pain in the ass, and of course it is a needed kind of thing to basically not let a lot of people, one person own multiple property. And of course from their property, there always people are saying it's a home for you to live in. Yes, definitely it's a home for you to live in, but of course it's somehow, I would say, a retirement vehicle as well, because at the end of the day, once you are old enough, you can sell a HDB for value, and after that from there take the money to basically do a retirement elsewhere, Malaysia, Singapore. You want to stay in Singapore, you can do it, and after you want to go to Malaysia, you can do it. You want to go Thailand, you can do it as well, as because you have the lump sum of cash. So over here, the scenario itself, you can see that I've asked ChatGPT, is it possible to avoid ABSD if you're a HDB owner? As a couple, if I place myself, blah blah blah. I'm not going to read it. You can pause it and read it. And after, I would say that this scenario itself is a situation that I've done. Basically, for HDB owners itself, you know that you can basically do something like owner and occupant. Yeah, so for this part itself, I wasn't sure about that. So for me, and basically what the 承诺, my promise to my wife is that, oh, so since I'm the one paying for most of the thing, and I'm not gonna fuck you up saying that in the future we are gonna do a divorce or whatsoever, and on paper itself everything is under my name, so I'm not gonna do that. So for the property itself, we did something like, okay, I tell her that this is my way of assuring you that we won't like I won't fuck you up or something like that. So for this house itself, we are both owner. basically, yeah, the both owners. So when we did this move itself, once you have entered it in your option fee during back then, maybe say you're a young couple, 20 over years old, you do not, or 18 years old, you're a young couple, go apply HDB, and then you don't know what is this owner or occupier thing. You just apply that, oh, 我们两个换钱嘛, we both owner. Then after that, from there, on paper itself, we also have like a spare a good split itself in case a divorce or whatsoever. Yes, it's a backing, kind of like a assurance kind of insurance thing for each and one. And after that, I would say that for this, let's say you're gonna look into invest in the property space itself, basically one should only be the owner. Basically say whoever is earning, the earning power itself is able to cover the HDB loan that is being granted. So you have to do a lot of calculation to see which one is more eligible for the loan, and after that, to meet the monthly like mortgage, how much is it, you have to know that which spouse itself is doing like able to get the loan, and after that, from there, only can use his or her CPF to deduct for the housing itself. So for this is one of the things you need to take consideration too. And after that, another spouse will just basically be like a occupant. So for the occupant itself, you do not need to like submit your credits or whatsoever to pay for the house, something like that. So where can this work itself? Yes, owner yourself, occupier, non-owner, your spouse name. So it's not in the HDB flat title. This is a must, and after that, from there, plan to basically to use your spouse as the occupier to purchase a private property. So this is the future itself. After you buy a house, MOP finish already, you want to buy private property, your spouse have to be earning enough, and after that, from there, can use her sole name to buy this property, private property, and after that, take the loan under her own name only to avoid this ABSD. I think, if I'm not wrong, it's around 10% for the start or 20%. Can't really remember the amount, but it is a huge amount, because if you talk about it, 10% only ma, 20% only ma. The private property itself, it costs like 800 over 1,000 and onwards. So 10% is like 100k. If let's say it's a $1 million kind of unit itself, therefore this ABSD itself is a pain in the ass. And of course, if you want to do like your own property investment in Singapore, I would say that yes, definitely you can somehow have a decent retirement if let's say you own like a public housing, and of course the private property itself, definitely you can live off comfortably in the future, I would say. And after that, from there, this is basically you must not buy jointly. So this is one of the mistakes that I have done. And after that, I would say that it is fine, because this is somehow like an assurance slash guarantee towards my wife that we are not gonna fuck each other up. And after that, from there, this title deed itself is basically yours and mine. So in case anything happen, it is still on the black and white itself. And after that, from there, you have to understand that this, if let's say you guys have a future planning, this planning itself is going to talk about for 30, 40 years or for the rest of your life. So this is the planning that you should do with your loved ones. And after that, from there, you have to look at this, all these important caveats. And after that, you can pause and read. And after that, what can you do to minimize the risk? So over here, so these are the things that you really have to take note itself from ChatGPT. I mean, this itself, basically I use this to clarify, and after that, from there, I took some property course to understand much more, and after that, from there, realize about that. And of course, to really execute whatever that you want to do, it is the best to consult your real estate slash financial advisor. I would say real estate advisor will be better for them, because they know the whole space. So best to consult them, and after that, from there, know about the rules before you start playing the game, I would say. So I've come to the end of the video. If you like the video, kindly leave a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and turn on post notification. And the next video we're gonna do is basically talking about centralized cooling, and of course the electrical provider, and of course the internet kind of provider in this channel. So I'm gonna see you on the next one. Bye bye, peace.